getting to? Because if I am sad about certain situation, then I'm not paying off. What I'm doing is I'm creating more karma. Yeah. So, and this is why so often we find ourselves saying and thinking that for so many years I've been tolerating this, but I still haven't got out of it. So on one hand, by not saying anything or by continuing to be nice and kind to people who we know has done wrong to us or are doing wrong to us, and we think, okay, my past karma has brought me into this situation. The past karma has brought me into this situation, and I have to kind of pay off by just suffering. But the understanding that's shared at the Brahma Kumaris, there's a step ahead, that I can actually not be free of the karma by suffering. So the more I accept it with a lot of love and grace, it's not something I like necessarily, but I accept, and accept with love that it's inevitable. And the more I do whatever I'm doing with pure heart and with happiness, that's when the path, it gets cleared. And so for that, we also need a lot of patience. We also need to be in a lot of our self-respect, because why we get into wrong karma is when our self-respect is down. So when somebody says something or does something that we would not normally expect or do, then we get hurt. But if our self-respect is there, then we will not get hurt. And then we will not react. Now, it doesn't mean that I suffer injustice. It doesn't mean I stay quiet when injustice is happening. We do all that is needed. Talk, bring it to their awareness, take actions. And in some cases, we have to even take legal actions as per the law of the country. But whilst I'm doing all of that, what is it that I'm feeling and thinking? What is the purpose? Is the purpose to prove that I am right and the other person is wrong and they should be punished? Is that the purpose? Would punishment actually change a person? And this is why in one of our study class, we refer to God with this word Baba. Baba was mentioning in our study class, which we call Gyan Murli, that aapki kshama hi unke liye shiksha ban jayegi. When you forgive, it becomes a lesson for them. Like when you've done something wrong, but somebody still has a lot of love and forgiveness for you. At some point, you may misuse them for so long, but at some point, there will be that deep realization that they're doing so good to me and I'm being so nasty with them. And so that realization will happen. But if somebody is wrong and then I also become wrong to them, wrong with them, will that change? Will it change the situation? They're saying, okay, you slap somebody, they'll slap you twice in return, then you slap them 4 times in return, then you get slapped 6 times in return, and it will multiply. And this is why it is important that we have to learn to make this karma a healing thing, not a thing that is going to bring us more and more bondage. We say karma sambandh. Our actions and interactions with whoever around should be like that of a sambandh, like that of a relationship. But today what we find ourselves in is karam bandhan. Yeah. So it's become a bondage instead of a relationship. संबंध से वो बंधन में बदल गया है. And this is why when our relationships, our interactions becomes like a bondage, when till the extent that there is a sweet bond, it's good. When it becomes a bondage, that's where we have to change. Stop back and change. What is it that I'm not doing right? And so just, I'd like to share a few things about how we can make this destiny that we find ourselves in very healing and not a bondage. So first of all, you remember the seed for any karma is our thoughts. So karma is fruition. And say like I'm sharing this, session with you. It's a karma, right? You're listening is karma. You're doing this action. But what was the thought behind? That we want to collectively meditate. We want to collectively look at something spiritual, right? So that is the thought. And then action becomes, it's like the fruit. Are you with me, sisters? And if there are any brothers. So this is why when I see this way, that every thought I have will then bear some sort of fruition. And so the seeds to our actions is our thoughts. And as we make our thoughts very positive, very powerful, then our words, our actions, our way of looking at things, our perceptions, everything will be positive. Then any sort of interaction will not feel like a bondage, or any relationship will not feel like a bondage, but which we will gracefully, with love, do it. Yeah. The other thing is that any actions I perform, good or bad, will bring karma, will bring result. So if I perform good and it's not being looked at, it will still bring good karma. Sometimes this is, oh, you've been doing so much, but nobody ever notices, nobody ever, acknowledges. But the fact that when we do something good, we feel good. That itself is the return to begin with. And even if I can't see the return right now, there will be a return in a future date. But the same applies if I do something wrong, if I do something negative. So if I don't get caught now, or if I don't suffer of my wrong deeds now, at some point I will. And so some actions may take fruition right away and some take time. The other thing also we need to understand is that karma is a means of accumulating a lot of wealth. And I don't mean physical wealth necessarily, but karmo ki punji bhi se. It's like a fortune, a treasure that we can accumulate through actions. So the more I keep sowing right thoughts, the more I keep performing the right actions, the account. In fact, in our study class also today, there was this mention that the more you keep applying zeros, so like it multiplies, isn't it? So here too, one way to accumulate is when I understand that every action will bear fruition. Then I'm able to apply full stop to all these questions that may appear in my mind as to why this happened. They shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done that. Okay, it happened. It happened to me, or I did it, which was not right. Let me learn a lesson, but put a full stop. And the more we quickly are able to put a full stop and allow the past to be past, the more we are able to move forward. When I see that, like when Dadi Janki was around, and even 20 odd years ago, when she would go and travel, often when she would come back, she would share about things that were shared, but she has forgotten who she's met. She's forgotten which place she has gone. And it wasn't because she was old, but it was a conscious choice that remember the essence, but put full stop to everything else. You're in the next scene. What is next? So often we would have such huge programs, and then we're thinking, okay, come on now, going to be a week of a bit of relaxation. Not that we wouldn't do anything, but no major event, right? As soon as one session would finish or one event would finish, Daddy would say, what's next? So that's already passed. Put a full stop. You can't carry, I worked so many months hard on this event, and now it's now time for me to. So because now is my time to relax. Because when we think that, then it bothers us. Now, say, for instance, people who have trouble sleeping, at night. If we wake up with this thought that I hadn't had enough sleep, how is your day likely to be? And so throughout the day, there's this thought coming, I didn't have enough sleep. And what you're going to instill, even if it wasn't so, is tiredness because you hadn't slept. Do you see how our thoughts then becomes where we are or takes us to where we are? So even if I didn't have sleep, okay, whatever reason, I had various things to think about, or maybe it's just the hormonal changes in my body, or it's the whatever age factor. It's not necessarily that only elderlies can't sleep. Many young ones can't sleep too. So I wouldn't think that age is a factor, but whatever may be the reason, okay, I didn't rest or I couldn't have a proper sleep. But at least when I'm resting, even if I'm not falling asleep, if I'm just aware and thinking positively, then the tiredness will not linger. Till I get into a habit or till it becomes naturally okay for me to fall asleep when I go to bed. This is giving an example. See how our thoughts can lead us into destiny. So we have to find various positive methods and see which one works for you and make this karma a healing thing, not something that you are in a bondage or not something that you only have to feel you have to abide by. Because along with rights, there's always responsibilities. But so often we forget the responsibilities and we want to focus on the rights. And this word in Gujarati we use Shubh Labh. Labh, Shubh. But first we have to do Shubh to have Labh. So do good, then you'll have some benefit. I wouldn't use the word profit, but benefit. But we want the benefit, but we don't want to do the Shubh. We don't want to focus on doing good. So this is where we have to change that. First, I need to sow the seeds, then expect fruits to be available to me. But if you're always expecting fruits, that people should behave nicely with me, people should respect me, people should understand me, people should cooperate with me, the weather should be nice when I want to go out, this, that, and the other. The government should understand my needs, how much hardship I have to go through. So these are all expectations. So what is the start? What are the seeds we are sowing? Is all of expectations. And, in a way, when there is expectation, there's also that fear in the background that they're not going to be met. And then we find ourselves saying to others, I knew they wouldn't happen. This is why I was being aware and I was preparing myself. We kind of bringing ourselves in a trap ourselves, isn't it? So it is very, very important that we start with very positive awareness positive thoughts. And these are the seeds that constantly, not just as and when we want to perform some charity, but throughout the day, let me just have good wishes for the world. Let me just have good wishes, especially for the ones that are being a test paper for me. Okay, so we'll have some meditation, then I'll open it for Q&A. At the end of meditation, I'll play a little song as well. So when I stop talking, there will be another song based on the theme that we're talking about today. So I sit back relaxed, the feet on the ground. I sit alert, but relaxed. I take my thoughts within. Take my thoughts within. And as I go within, becoming aware of myself as this being of light, the Atma, the soul, I ask myself, how am I feeling today? What is my relationship with myself? How is it? How do I interact with others? What is my relationship with the nature? And what is my relationship with the birds and the animals? And generally with the world. So let's take a few moments in this silence to look at all of these connection. So my relationship with the self, with others, with resources, with nature. The animals, birds, insects, and all of these living creatures. So find out. And honestly, go within to check. Make a note, either mentally or on a piece of paper. With a lot of love and self-respect. What do you see? Be honest. You wouldn't need to share with anyone. It's good to check. To check with being in the seat of self-respect. What are the things I need to change? And what are the things that I can be more aware of? Make a note of that too. Either mentally or on a piece of paper. Because I understand all I want to do is to perform the righteous actions. Because this is the way to expect the good to return to me. And it's not because I expect, but I want to do just the good karma, as I'm a child of God. I want to do exactly what God would do. I want to follow in God's footsteps. So sometimes I may need to apply a full stop. Sometimes I would have to look at the situation as trivial compared to big scenes that I'm likely to witness and let it go. Let it not bother me. Sometimes I would need to be firm with myself and my own personality, my own sanskar that becomes like a trap that doesn't allow me to be my real self. I have to be firm with them like a Dharamraj. Tell them enough is enough. Maybe I need to speak up. Maybe I need to allow people to be who they are. So whatever it may be, check and find out at least 2 or 3 things that you can begin to change right away and then build upon it.
सबका भला जीवन के जीने की ये है कला करते चलो सबका भला, जीवन के जीने की ये है कला। करते चलो सबका भला, जीवन के जीने की ये है कला। करते चलो। इसके बिना जीवन क्या है भला, जीवन के जीने की ये है कला। इसके बिना जीवन क्या है भला, जीवन के जीने की ये है कला। करते चलो। जीवन उनका अनमोल है, शीतल जिनके बोल है। प्रभु पसंद रहे जग में, उनका ही जग में मोल है। कर भला तो होगा भला, जीवन के जीने की ये है कला। कर भला तो होगा भला, जीवन के जीने की ये है कला। करते चलो सबका भला, जीवन के जीने की ये है कला। करते चलो।
Shanti. You enjoyed that song? So is there any questions, any queries?
Very much. The song was just whatever you said in the song was all the very, very meaningful.
Mm.
Sum up your talk.
Yeah. So we don't think of any returns, but we just give that love and do your karma.
True.
And don't expect. Expectation just brings disappointment.
Sorrow.
Yes, yes.
So that's the moral of the essence of today's talk, right?
Oh, yeah.
So how to make the karma healing as opposed to something to be sad about, or something, when we become very anxious as to what may happen. But why would there be fear? The fear because we haven't done good karma. Yeah. Fear would not be there if we have done good karma. But of course, that fear will go once I understand that good karma will only bring a good destiny for me. But if I haven't done so much good karma, and then I expect the destiny to be wonderful, then that may not happen.
Didi,
Gee,
can I ask a question?
of course, yeah.
Right. There are some people who do good all the time,
Mhm.
but they keep suffering. Is it related to their past karma?
It could be. It could be very much related to past karma. You know, there's this story, and I may have even shared with you guys earlier, that there was two friends, you know, they were good friends. One was quite ordinary in terms of finances and resources, and the other one was very, very rich. And he kept doing kind of wrong karma. He wasn't bothered, and he kept receiving good things in return. And this guy was very pious, very, you know, bhakti oriented, everything. And yet there was a lot of hardship in his life. But then they both decided to, you know, go and talk to a fortune teller, and somebody who could, you know, look at some of the past. And they mentioned to them that the one who was rich actually had done a lot of good karma in the previous birth. And so this is why he's receiving all these good in return. But having said that, if he doesn't do any good karma in this birth, then what would his future be? And for the other one, that, you know, he had done so much wrong karma, but at the end of his life, he had the realization and he started doing good. And so just though the good karma was tiny compared to all his life he had done, you know, looted, cheated, lied, everything. He killed. The punishment was just the hardship compared to what he could have had otherwise. Yes, I hope that answers your
I
question.
think, Daksha, the past should be kept in the past, otherwise it destroys your future.
Yeah.
You cannot move on.
True.
I mean, can I just share something? Majority of us have lost our husbands, and we initially, the thoughts when it happens, the thoughts we get is, why me?
Yeah.
Why me? But
Sure.
once you have this understanding that we had that karmic relationship with that soul for so much,
Finish.
Too long,
we
yeah.
had to just, some
Finished.
people must be thinking that what sort of lady she is. Look,
Mhm.
her husband passed away such early age, but it's nothing to do with us, is it?
It's
Because
God's
of-
will. God's will.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah. What would you say?
He knows best. He knows best.
I think even more than God's will, it's our karma that decides where we are born, when we are born, how long can we live in that particular form, and then when we need to move on.
More, yeah. Change the costume,
Yeah.
play another role.
I think we should just remember, why not me? We keep asking why me,
Yeah, true, I
but
agree.
why not me? Yes,
And
isn't it? It's true.
and positively, if we think that we have less responsibility of them, hence we can now concentrate with our own self and
True.
go forward towards being good, doing good karma, and
Yeah.
having intellectual talks on these sort of platforms.
Absolutely. Yeah.
True.
I think our whole attitude to life changes.
Exactly.
It does.
Initially you are very angry, but somehow after having this sort of a knowledge and sharing our thoughts with you Didis on this platform has widened our horizon and thoughts and everything and the prospects of our life has changed so much.
Yeah, you
Had
could
we
more
had
than-
that responsibility, we wouldn't have been able to move forward and do things what we really want for our own betterment.
True, true. What would I also suggest is that the more we understand our relationship with God, and the more we strengthen that relationship, then the more we're able to take power. You know, like we've done so much wrong, right? But does God starts hating us, disliking us?
No.
Okay, our karma may bring certain reward to us, or destiny to us, but God doesn't, dislike us. So how can I do the same for everything, everybody, including myself? But for that, we need to have to understand who God really is. We say, Bhagwan ne yaad karu chu, but I'm remembering God. But do I actually understand how God acts, who God is? And for that, I have been suggesting a few weeks ago also, when I met the group, I mentioned Raj Yoga course. And even for those of you who've done, if you haven't managed to go to a higher level, the advanced level, then it's almost like, okay, I have some wealth. It was nice to do the course and then put it in the background. I know I am really amazed at the dedication on Sunday that you sisters have. And I think mostly it's our sisters. But what more? Yeah. And I think there's been dedication from our side as well to find a teacher every time. Sometimes there can be a technical issues, but otherwise, normally this is the time when our study class is still going on. So we come out of it to be able to share with you. But it'd be really nice for you all to kind of step up even a little more. I know the whole group is spiritual, and this is why we also make time for you guys. But go a bit more deeper in your relationship with God and make it more personal and powerful. And one method to do that is through understanding Raj Yoga meditation. So since we didn't hear from you, what I'm thinking is maybe we'll propose a few dates and we'll take it that way with the group. Any other thoughts or questions? Any other thoughts or questions?
Not for today. I think
today. Okay, so I'm going to share a few more thoughts, and then we'll have another meditation. So the word healing, when we start thinking of healing, is often when we actually start becoming sick. Yeah, often. Sullivan, if you're not saying it, okay, I can mute you, because every moment we can. For those of you not sharing, yeah, it's good to mute you yourselves. So what I was saying is that often when we get sick, we start thinking of healing and well-being. So often we don't. So wherever we are, maybe things are wrong in our lives, and that's why we want to start thinking of healing karma, or at a prevention stage, which is even better, is that in the past, whatever I've done, may have done out of ignorance, or may have done things knowingly, but I was powerless to not do it otherwise or other ways. But now on, I understand that I am a being of light, that I am a soul, I'm a child of God. And it is my honor, really, that I used to use this word shan, to do and behave as a God's child. Yeah. Now, behaving is often used, the word is misunderstood, is that, I'm forced to do something. It's not that I'm forced to, or it's not something that I need to, but it's something I want to. See, there's a difference. And then the healing can happen. See, when people get ill, see, people go through cancer, people go through terminal illnesses, they change their diet, they change their routine, they get more out in the nature, or they sometimes, if they're working very hard physically, then they make sure that they do get rest, that they have time for themselves. And when they make those drastic changes, the healing starts taking place. So these are sessions where we can sit back and reflect as to what is it that I'm not doing? And what is it that I am doing which is good, which I can continue and build upon it? So no regrets. There should be no guilt. The other day, I was sharing with a group in Brighton, and this beautiful theme about happiness is the fruit of wealth. Or what sort of wealth? It's not just that we have paisa and we'll be happy. Money doesn't bring happiness. But it's the wisdom, it's the knowledge that brings happiness. But knowledge itself will not bring happiness. But knowledge, when applied in a practical life and daily applied. See, if you have some wisdom and for months, if you don't do anything about it, say if you didn't remember God, if you didn't meditate or pray or whatever you normally do, how would you feel if you didn't do that for months? You wouldn't feel nice. You'll feel more tired, you'll feel more weak, you'll feel more powerless, you'll be more reactive, and you'll get into trouble, and you'll also harm and hurt others. So it's not just something that I do occasionally, but it's something that I do every day and as often as I can till I get to the point naturally I am that. But even after it becomes our natural nature, I still have to pay attention. And this is what we saw in our dadis, as we call them, our senior sisters and our senior brothers, is that constant awareness. Even, our didis today, like Sister Jayanti, Sister Sudesh, they travel so much sharing this wisdom. They get invited to different places. But when we look at their timetable, they're so busy. But time comes for meditation, times come for study class, they're there. There isn't the thought that I've traveled, so for a week, now let me take a break. So their dedication to their discipline and their schedule is just so amazing. And this is why they're able to serve so much. Often when you just see in their presence, you feel like, wow, our fortune. But why should it just be limited to them? Why not us? Why do people not feel so much when they come in our presence? And that's where we have to get ourselves. And that's self-discipline, that's self-love, and that connection, deep, deep connection with God, taking power and using the wisdom in a practical way. If we don't do that in a practical way, and if we don't do it on a daily basis, then somewhere we find ourselves weak. We find ourselves getting into ordinariness, and then ordinariness results into waste, and that waste then becomes negative. So what's so big deal if I didn't do it today, right? And so already there's a start of pattern that is being built. And if you miss something once, then you start wanting to miss it again. And before you know, it's become a habit. And there's the saying in Hindi, that when it's just a little thread, and if you cut it, it's so easy, you can even probably just snap it off. But when the thread leads into another, and it becomes a big, huge rope, it's so difficult to cut. And similarly, when we have a thought and then we perform an action, and when we sense that this is not a right thought and this is not the right action, if we stop it there, then And if you stop it there, then what happens is then it doesn't become a habit. It doesn't become a sanskar. But once it becomes our sanskar, our personality traits, then it's difficult to break that habit. And so this is why, just remember kind of the sequence we have, maybe not even based on negative thought, but just ordinary thoughts. And then how it results when it happens a few times, then you get into laziness, you can get into carelessness, and then you can get into ordinariness, leading it to waste, the waste leading it to negative. And by then it's too late. It's not that we can't come back, but then the effort needed and the attention needed is far too much. And just like, say, if you had cold, yeah, and if you have double pneumonia, where are the more effort needed to cure? And if you had just common cold compared to double pneumonia, so our sanskars are a bit like the double pneumonia you find yourself into instead of just a common cold. But if I deal with the common cold, then it would not lead into any lung infection, etc., etc. So these are some of the thoughts. I've got another beautiful song that I'd like to share with you. And that's also to finish with that meditation. So just give me a moment to share it.
I think I just need
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Very nice song, Nakshabet.
Play song, yes.
Very
Yes.
nice.
Favorite
Very nice.
ones. Mm.
Om Shanti.
So we'll see you all soon. Take care.
Yeah.
And keep stay in self-respect and your love for God. Let it increase daily. Become deeper and deeper. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you.
Really nice session.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti Saune.
Om Shanti.